Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. We start with the Boston Celtics, Game 1, Celtics and Heat. And as I told you, it feels like the Raptors series was games. We went 7 games. Now, this is an extension of that series. Very similar teams. That was game 8. It mirrored games that we played against the Raptors. 2 evenly matched teams. It was an exciting game, and ultimately the Celtics come up short in overtime. Joe, your observations.
They can't finish, and they're going to have to make a fundamental change. It's they got away with it against Philly. They lasted. They were able to build big leads and just hold on. Against Toronto, they weren't able to do that, but they were lucky enough to win 4 out of the 7. If this had been in Toronto, where it was supposed to be, they wouldn't have won Game 7.
No.
And now against the Heat, you can't get away with this. We don't score the whole last 10 minutes of the game. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fatigue because the bench is so shallow? They're having to play.
A lot of it, Tim. That's a lot of it, Tim, I'm sure. But they get 2 tunnel visions with Kemba and Tatum. You got to get the other guys involved. You got to get Smart and Jaylen Brown involved. They didn't get Jaylen Brown involved at all last night.
Kemba is obviously underperforming. I mean, we need him to be Kemba Walker. We cannot. We're not going to win with this version of Kemba Walker.
He's over dribbling. It must be coming from the coach. He's dribbling. It's like they're trying to run down the 24-second clock every time. And he over dribbles. He gets trapped. They get put in a bad position. Then they're taking bad shots.
But look, these guys are playing, like last night, 43 and 44 minutes. I know it went into overtime, so obviously you're going to play a lot of minutes. But even in regular 48-minute games, they're playing 43, 44 minutes. Guys like Walker are wearing down. It's just simply enough.
Yeah, I mean, remember, wasn't that long ago, was on a minutes restriction.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We have to give hats off to the one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen in my life. That block on Tatum.
I agree.
I mean, I said that's a dunk. There's nothing that can possibly stop that from being a dunk. And then he came out of nowhere and made one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, usually those guys in the NBA, Joe, they're just getting out of their way when all of a sudden a star player goes that high and is going to slam it down.
Yeah, and the current technology of television showing you in slow-mo at 5 different angles, it just made it even look better.
Yeah, look, we reaped the rewards of Marcus Smart's block in Game 7. This obviously wasn't the same exact block, but it felt like that as far as the play, the importance of the play, and the remarkability of the.
I mean, he basically put his hand over the hoop and was willing to sacrifice his wrist. And I don't know how he didn't get a broken wrist.
But he didn't foul it. He didn't foul Tatum either. He kept the ball in bounds. It was remarkable.
And it was his left hand too. It was his off hand.
Yeah.
Not his strong hand that did that.
Yeah, you just have to tip your cap to Bam and say, let's move on to Game 2. But the positives. There's a statistic when Marcus Smart scores over 20 points, actually, the Celtics lose. We'll have to figure that out in another show. Marcus, I thought he played extraordinary.
Hey, you know what? My battery's dying. I'm gonna have to move this up to my car. So
all right.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute, Tim.
But Joe, I thought Marcus played extraordinary last night.
Oh, he was, and I thought all of a sudden in the 4th period, they just went away from him. Kemba was just feeding Tatum, a star, sure, but you got to move it around. And Jaylen Brown was like a forgotten figure. All he got was that putback by a little hustle play. Marcus was just they like excluded him.
Tatum had 30 points. I don't want to call it a quiet 30 points. What was that last night? What was Jason Tatum would you say? What kind of grade would you have given him last night for that game?
A-.
So you would give him an A-.
Yeah. Won't
Okay.
give him an A because the fourth, all of a sudden, what was he, 4 for 12 from 3. That's not what you're looking for. And he was only shooting like 40% overall. So he was hucking up a lot of shots and not a lot was going in. If that's the case, look for Jalen and Marcus on the wings rather than Tatum up the top of the key.
I hated in the second half and in overtime. I hated the ball movement. There was a lack of it. There was a lot of ball movement just on the third 3-point line, and not enough time given trying to work Jaylen Brown into the offense.
Yeah, I thought he could have done a lot more. He was basically invisible. Yeah, he had like 17 points or something in the game, but other than the putback in overtime, very quiet. Very, very quiet.
And Daniel Tice, a non-factor last night after having, I think, a very strong series against the Raptors.
Well, he's playing a much tougher guy, and they got him in foul trouble, and they kept driving at him. They put him in a bad situation, and then kept the pressure on.
And Robert Williams, again, Robert Williams a year from now, I'm making this prediction, Joe, will be a borderline star in this league. That's what I think the ascension that Robert Williams is going to make, the progress he's making. I thought, again, he was fantastic last night and should play more minutes.
Well, yeah, he seems to be sneaky good, but he's always trailing the play, it seems. But then he has that, catch-up speed. He gets up and blocks it from behind.
Yeah, but he plays the Time Lord limited minutes. Why is Brad Stevens? Does he not have any confidence in
Well, because on offense, all of a sudden you're playing 4-on-5 because he's essentially worthless. If you don't get it to him within a foot of the rim, nothing can happen.
But that was a freaky substitution when Tice fouled out. I know Mason Terrace's own Brad Wanamaker had a very good game, but that was so weird to put Wanamaker into that spot and go really small.
Oh yeah, you had basically four guards and Tatum on the floor at the time.
Well,
I couldn't figure that.
I've heard mentioned sometimes Williams doesn't know the switches that he's supposed to make. He's not really quick on the uptake on the switches that are necessary in crunch time.
Yeah, I made that point that he seems to be always from behind, but he's got catch-up speed, and he makes the play from behind a lot.
But he's a rim protector, and there was lots of penetration yesterday. Guys like Butler getting whatever they wanted near the basket, and Williams affects shots.
That seems to be their game: slash into the basket and kicking out, slash, or the pick and roll hit the cutter and he goes in. So you need someone like that sitting in there.
And to see Jay Crowder hurt us yesterday. He had 22 points, Joe. I mean, he hit a lot of key 3-pointers. And what are we going to say? Geez, I wish we had Jay Crowder.
A lot of those were big threes. I mean, the game was kind of the flow of the game was going the Celtics' way, and he kept the Heat alive. Kind of, they were like life-saving threes that he made.
Yeah, and to have that Tyler Hero, who the Celtics should have done something to try to draft. I thought he hit 2 key 3-pointers in the
they were daggers.
They really were. They helped them get back.
I never thought I'd rue the day that we didn't have Crowder on our team, but he hurt us last night.
And then
he was clutch. He was more clutch than anyone on the Celtics, I got to admit.
Kelly Olynyk may have contributed more last night
to the Celtics.
Play. I think he was like 4 minutes on the court, -10 plus minus. You could not have had a guy play worse.
Well, it was to our favor, so I was happy to see Kelly out there. But, show us more Kelly.
Yeah, right. We need definitely. Timmy, Brad Stevens faced Nick Nurse, coach with the Raptors, and now Spoelstra. He's another top coach in the NBA. Brad's got to amp up his game.
I mean, we think that we have the better coach, but Nurse, did he maybe Brad got a little outcoached in the last series. I hope we don't see another outcoached series again.
Look, I thought the play calling for the Miami was dead on in the last 8 minutes and then the overtime.
And we didn't call a play on that last shot. That's what boggled my mind. It was just.
Are we talking about the Tatum from 10
yes,
outside? It
the lack of anything.
reminded me of what Toronto tried to do against us. When Williams blocked that shot. You're telling me you can't call a better play than that? Than just have Tatum wait until there's 2 seconds left and launch it from 5 feet outside of the 3-point line? I mean, we only needed 1 point to win the game at that point, right? Take it to the hole, try to draw a foul.
Absolutely. That 30-foot
Oh, they
shot
claimed they didn't
available.
want to leave any time for Miami, like
Well,
what
you
happened
notice
with
that
Toronto.
I don't know if they've been bringing this up today. Marcus Smart was wide open. All Tatum had to do, he had the whole side of the court empty for Marcus Smart. All he had to do was feed it in, and Marcus had an easy lay-in.
That can't be the best play. I was infuriated when I saw that play.
That's very Paul Pierce-like, where Paul Pierce just used to isolate, and all the 4 guys would just put their heads down while Paul would do something and take some fade away 25-footer.
I kind of missed the part. How did Smart get that one foul shot?
That was because there was a foul before the ball had been inbounded. So they
That's
had
a one-shot foul.
Yeah.
How often do you see that?
But Marcus Smart knows all the rules. That's exactly what he was trying to do.
And he flopped.
And he wills these things to happen. Each game, this has become a greater love affair with Marcus Smart. I mean,
that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I mean, before the ball's even thrown in, he draws a foul somehow. A one-shot foul to tie it up.
So, Joe, we asked this question last night at Hamilton's with Timmy and I, and that was a great show, Timmy. Thanks again. Jimmy Butler, when you're starting this series right now, who would you take, Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum?
Well, I would have taken.
I would be Butler. He's done it before. He's got more experience. And if you watched the game last night, Butler was the more valuable player.
Joe, I agree.
He can affect the game more. He can change the game. Jason can't.
I got to give Jason Tatum a little credit. That was a pretty good defense he put on Butler, and Butler still made that shot. I mean, I don't know how Butler put that ball in. I mean, Tatum was all over him.
And Butler's having a remarkable.
Butler stepped up when it counted the most. And
he's had ever since they got to the bubble, he's been really, really good. Even before this, he's been exceptional. Way better than he's ever been in the past, too, Tim.
Yeah,
this is better than he was with Philly and with Chicago and with Minnesota. This is the best he's ever been.
He's accepting the role as the leader of that team. He's never been the guy.
He's always wanted to be.
Yeah, he's the guy now, and he's up to the task, it appears.
Yeah, he sure is, to me. He's a clutch guy. All right, boys, is tomorrow's game 2 a must win? I think it is.
Oh yeah, you can't come back from down 2 in that bubble situation. Really, I tend to think people start to think about hitting the golf course if they get down 2 now. Notwithstanding, the Nuggets just came back from 3-1. So that theory might be out the window. But I just kind of think young guys like Jalen and Tatum will start thinking about doing off-season things.
I think Miami played about as good as they can play last night, and I don't think the Celtics played nearly as good as they're capable of playing, and we still almost pulled it out. So I'm hoping that Miami is, not going to. Jay Crowder's not. We know who Jay Crowder is. He's not the guy last night. That was that's not the guy that we saw and knew for years. So I'm expecting that the Celtics to. Walker has to figure something out. He was turning down wide open threes last night. I think his confidence appears shot. If he doesn't play better, though, I don't think we have a chance. He needs to become a major factor in these games.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very interesting. All right, boys, we got to go to the Patriots. Patriots win the opener 21-11. Cam Newton, we didn't see him in exhibition play because they didn't have any exhibition games. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to see Cam Newton make all the throws The kid's got a powerful arm, and then of course the legs to boot. Great first game for the opener for Cam Newton.
Unfortunately, the Patriots receiving core is sort of like the Red Sox starting pitching rotation. We don't know half the names.
Yeah.
Demir Bird played the most of any Patriot other than the lineman,
and we don't know who Demir Bird is.
Yep.
He's not a distant relative of Larry Bird, and he had not one pass thrown to him.
Oh, now I see the resemblance.
Not one pass thrown to him.
And he played 88% of the snaps. He was like the most important guy out there.
I think that means that he didn't get open.
Yeah. Well, they'll say, oh, his job is like Randy Moss. Take the top off the defense. Just go deep and take a couple corners with you.
Well, I don't know where Timmy's went, but look, Joe, this shows that Bill Belichick was going to tank this year. He was going to put a stiff out there like Stidham. They threw this PR machine out there saying that Stidham is going to be a top quarterback and blah, blah, blah. That was a joke. He has no wide receiving core. He let everybody who wanted to opt out and was encouraging players to opt out. What changed? Cam Newton was out there the whole offseason. What changed if Bill Belichick made this turn?
Oh, geez. I don't think he's changed at all.
You don't
In what way would you think he's changed?
You don't think he was tanking before Cam Newton? Stidham wasn't even the second quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah, oh, I think that was just misinformation he's putting out to the other teams. I don't think that just said and wait until Cam's price got down, you know.
Oh, well,
that's just misinformation. That's just a disinformation campaign on his part. He does it all the time. He says guys that are hurt are fine and guys that are fine are hurt, you know.
He gave him the minimum. It's not like he gave him any enticement. You don't think there are at least 20 NFL owners right now who are screaming at their GMs?
Oh yeah, trying
to pick up Cam Newton.
Oh yeah, you're 100% correct on that. That you know, there are everyone who lost on Sunday has gone to their GM and said, "How come we didn't get that guy?"
Yeah, right. Minimum, the veteran minimum, which I believe is not even against the cap.
Welcome back, Tim.
Yes, Timmy. Yeah. Timmy, we're talking about Cam Newton. So look, wide receiver is a huge problem now that Bill Belichick is going to go for it. All of a sudden, Bill Belichick's going to have to make the same move that he made last year and give up a second or third round pick to go get a wide receiver.
I don't think he's going to do it. Gunner comes back this week.
Yeah. Gunner, Timmy, talk about Gunner. Our season depends on freaking a
second-rate guy. You're right.
We were talking about that last night, right, Timmy? Our season depends on Gunner. Oh, he's connected to audio. I mean, that's a joke. That's a joke. Look, Joe.
Well, it's better than Demir Bird, but the one encouraging sign, Cam Newton will actually throw to Ryan Izzo.
Yeah, well,
Tom was very, very snooty about that. He wouldn't condescend to throwing to him.
Timmy, you back? Timmy, you back?
I believe I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Joe's saying that the D depends on Gunner.
So I'm having a problem with my audio here. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the Country Western. Turn off the other programs you have running.
I know it won't. The audios are connected together. How's that?
Much good. You're a technological wizard.
I lost my internet connection there briefly, boys.
Oh.
All right, there we go, Timmy. We're talking about Gunner. I know he's a fan. You're a big fan of his.
Of who?
Gunner, the wide receiver that's going to be our savior.
Olszewski.
Savior. When he comes back, everything now it's like getting Randy Moss back on the team.
Only a foot shorter.
Like when Gunner comes, when Gunner's back, like now we're gonna be good. I mean, I was ready to shoot myself when I heard that.
Right.
Well, at least he can return punts. That much takes the heat off.
Oh my God! Of course, special teams. I mean, yeah, he
Well,
can.
that's what he is. He's not, a frontline NFL receiver.
Of course not.
Discussed was he was going to change the passing game when he
No,
arrived.
I don't know who's telling you that, but he's a nice little piece. That's it.
It was a reputable radio station in Boston that was seriously talking like when Gunner comes back, we're going to be okay.
That right. They're smoking crystal meth and good one, good type too.
That's they need something to talk about. They ran out of topics, I think.
Look, Sanu must have been terrible, Joe. Like we talked about last. Sanu must.
He just got signed. San Fran just signed him.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. So if Sanu ends up being a contributor, what team signed him?
The 49ers. But he'll just be a slot receiver there. Here they were asking him to be an outside guy. He can't do that anymore. He's too old. Now at San Fran, he's going to be a slot receiver.
But can you imagine, Timmy, if he ends up contributing for the 49ers after we dumped him and gave up a second-round pick?
After Emmanuel Stewart last year?
Yeah, Sanders, yeah.
Belichick's been pretty good through the years of spotting guys when they're kind of done. So I'll be very surprised if he ends up contributing to the 49ers. I mean, I'll be infuriated if he does.
So would you give up right now? Would you have to give up any more than a second-round pick to get Odell Beckham? Would you do it?
Do I want? He comes with a lot of baggage, this guy. I mean, he'd be entertaining.
Yeah, I'd go for it. It'd only be probably for a year. You'd have to sign him to a big new deal. But on Sunday night, you're going to be saying, why can't we get guys like that? Because we've seen the Seattle Seahawks receivers, Josh Gordon, Philip Dorsett, and Jacob Hollister is their tight ends.
Oh, that's another crazy one. If they weren't tanking, why wouldn't you have kept Philip Dorsett? He'd be he'd be your second wide receiver right now.
For some reason, Brady didn't like any of these guys, and the coaching staff should have, figured out who could work with another quarterback.
I look back on I grew weary of Brady just ignoring receivers. I mean, he just decided he wasn't going to throw to certain guys, and I'm sure the defense picks up on that eventually.
Yeah, so
Hogan was a favored son for a while, and then all of a sudden Brady wouldn't throw to him, and the defense just stopped covering him.
So we got to give our props to Josh McDaniels, and this is his first game without Tom Brady, and I thought it was a really good offensive plan. And the fact is that if Folk makes that field goal and N'Keal Harry doesn't do whatever he's doing and fumbles that ball into the end zone, they score 31 points, and that's a hell of an offensive output for game one.
You're right.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about how Gostkowski missed 4 field goals?
And an extra point?
Yeah, right. Well, here's a guy that, we thought that he was going to either retire or take the year off, right? Because of his injury. It sounds like maybe Steven needs a couple of dollars to keep the household going, because I don't know what he's doing in an NFL uniform.
How do you change that quickly? I mean, he
got the minimum. He didn't sign a good contract. It was a 1-year minimum, veteran minimum.
If he doesn't have another one of those games left in him before he gets released, and they bring someone off the D team or whatever,
Yeah,
definitely.
You can't. Yeah, field goal kickers are like referees. You want to make sure you don't notice them during the game. If you do, they're usually on the street by Sunday night.
Vrabel picked him up down in Tennessee, so
yeah, apparently that's where he lives, right? Too, which I don't know why that makes a difference, but that's where he lives. All right, boys, predictions for Patriots play Sunday night, and I guess we're going to have to stay up. Sunday night football against the Seahawks in Seattle, and Patriots don't have to deal with that 12th man, that huge, loud crowd against Russell Wilson. Wilson should be an exciting game. Joe, your prediction?
31-30. Unfortunately, I'll take Seattle on the winning side.
And Bam makes a block at the last second. Bam blocks a field goal at the last second.
We're in a little bit of a downward trend right now. We'll come back.
We'll get back. All right, Timmy, I know where you're going.
32-10 Seattle. I think this team's going to get closed. Or Seattle's got a much better defensive line than Miami did. They're going to key in on stopping the run, and they're going to force our, Red Sox pitching staff of a receiving core
Yeah, right.
to win the game for us, and that's just not possible.
You know what, Tim, though? Atlanta threw for 500 plus yards against them last week. I know they were playing catch up because they were losing the whole game, but 500 plus yards against any defense is pretty impressive. That doesn't speak well for their pass defense.
Joe, we don't have the ability. We may not have a season where Cam Newton throws for 300 plus yards. I'm not just seeing that happen. I don't know, unless he throws it to himself and then starts running. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Up on Edelman, and who else? Who's left to throw to?
Yeah, I mean, this is really a joke. We'll see how this offense ends up progressing, but they have to get. It's a personnel league, and they have to get some kind of guys in here that can catch the ball.
What about the guy from Chicago, Robinson?
Yeah, I wonder. What? So that's a contract squabble that and he just wants a new team, but he's going to want to sign a deal too.
Oh yeah, you'd have to sweeten it, but they got the money.
Only in days will we hear this comment. Robinson stopped following the Bears on all of his social media accounts. That indicates that he wants. I mean, now we've reached a new era, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That was even made in public.
That's the new way to do it, Timmy. The guy Giannis did the same thing to the Bucks.
Yeah, I know.
A couple days ago.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That's like you getting defriended.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Giannis even wiped out all his teammates.
He's a strange.
He unfriended all his teammates.
That's
we're living in, fellas.
Yeah. I gotta go. The Red Sox.
Wait. What's your prediction for the Patriots?
What's that?
Oh yeah, good one, Tim. Good one.
Patriots 17, Seattle 16 in a low-scoring game. So I can't go against the Patriots right now. I was really impressed by the way they played. Look, last time we played Dolphins, we lost to me in a key game with a guy named T. Brady as quarterback. So I think they're an up-and-coming team. So I don't think they're as bad as Timmy thinks they are. All right, Major League Baseball, I bring this up. So Manfred, he hasn't announced it yet. So apparently Manfred wants to keep the 16-team playoff format after this season moving forward. Oh, my God. All of a sudden, Major League Baseball has become the NHL and the NBA.
It's all about the do-re-mi, Scotty. More markets.
And the NFL is going to join them the year after.
I mean, think about it. It used to be many years ago, but not that long ago, where you had to become in first place in the National League and first place in the American League, and you played the World Series.
In a 10-team league, too.
Yeah, right.
The Red Sox won it, and they were in the World Series, right? I mean,
but with a 16-game playoff format, guys, very rarely will you have moving forward the best team with the best record like the Red Sox in 2018 win the World Series.
Well, they're looking at all of this money. I'm sure they've done the metrics on the potential cash flow from adding more teams. And I mean, how do they say no to that?
It's an extra $300 million just with TV.
Yeah, I was going to say TV would. That's what they like. The only time TV likes baseball is when it's playoff time.
Right. So that doesn't even include the receipts and all the other stuff. Just this year, no fans. They'll each make about an extra $10 million a team.
If you're the owners of these teams, how do you not sign up for that?
I know, but at some point you're just watering down the league.
Oh, I know that, but it's dollars. It's a lot of dollars.
But what they will do, which I do agree with it, I did not like, these initial wild card series will be 2 out of 3 as opposed to just one, game winner or loser.
I got a question for you, Scotty. You're always up on these young kids coming up. Well, how do you pronounce that kid last night?
I assume it's Houck. Yeah, I assume, yeah. Wow, he had a great performance yesterday. They
scattered a couple singles.
Yeah, the Red Sox have some good young pitching prospects, but really rookie league, single A guys that it's going to take another year or two to develop. But they're obviously found enough of them to throw them out there right now. And
can I back up to the additional playoff teams in there too? not only is it just the playoff money, it's teams that are still in the hunt. It's going to add more teams that are in the hunt at the end of the season and keep the attendance and the TV viewership for those
And
cities.
near markets, yes, Jim, you're right.
Well, absolutely, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. Which is nice, but again, these playoff, this is like, it seems longer than the regular season now. At some point, they get very taxing for the fan. I mean, look, it seems like the Celtics have been playing forever in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the baseball season will go into late mid-November. I mean, if they keep doing this.
Well, they're going to have to make some level of adjustment, or they may have to go with what they're doing this year. They may be like the Super Bowl, where they play the World Series in a neutral site, a warm weather neutral site.
I hope not.
But they may have to do that.
But and
It's
you
worked for the NHL and the NBA.
becomes like the Super Bowl now, and you book your trip to Vegas for the World Series. I mean,
That's what it may be to me. Because what we're finding out, it's really not about the fans at the games anymore. They don't care. It's about the TV money, and they want to make sure that that game is going to go on at 9 o'clock. It's not going to be delayed or rained out. It's all about the TV audience now.
Yeah, the Super Bowl has never been played at home. Always been a neutral site.
Look, this is going to change sports. They're going to think, wow, we can have sporting events basically in studios.
Yeah.
What the hell we need the fans for?
We don't need to build $6 billion stadiums.
it'll save me some playoff tickets, and that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But because they think they may, there may never be a time where we're all being crushed next to each other in Section 8.
Oh, just think how they would crush you, season's ticket holders. Remember, they made you pay for every possible game. If you added 2 more playoff rounds, oh my God, that's an extra 10 grand in their pocket.
Oh no,
My Bruins tickets are $10,000 for the season, and I got my potential playoff bill was $9,500.
Yeah, no. Look, being a season ticket holder moving forward is a bad deal. Anyone who does that, there's no reason to do it. It's a bad deal. But all right, that's our show tonight. That went quick. Of course, we want to thank the boys, Timmy and Uncle Joe, and everyone behind the scenes. Thank you, Corbin. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com, and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.